Welcome back, friends. It's PHNX Cardinals NFL Draft Day live here on day 3. PHNX Cardinals, Johnny Venerable, Bo Brock. The Arizona Cardinals, busy, Bo. Outside of their first 3 picks, they have gone almost exclusively Ohio State here on day 3, kicking things off, not with Cam Scatterbo, who I would be remiss if I didn't mention, went several picks before the Cardinals to the New York Giants. The Cardinals stay on theme up until that point defensively. Cody Simon, formerly of Ohio State, off-ball linebacker, national champion, MVP, Rose Bowl, MVP, and somebody at 6'2", 235 pounds has an opportunity to vie for playing time opposite somebody like Mack Wilson.
Yeah. Look, I mean, this is a draft, a portion of the draft where the Arizona Cardinals leaned in to some big Power 4 conference teams.
Yeah.
They went with two Ohio State players and now a Texas player with one more pick remaining. They're going on guys that were recruited high and guys that have incredible physical traits and athleticism. And because at this point in the draft, you're just taking like prospects there where you're not going to find probably the productivity. Even though their last, pick from Texas is the guard, is a guy that, in 1,500 pass block reps, only surrendered 4 sacks. While at Texas, that's impressive. But if you look as far as what he projects to be, he's got a long way to go at the NFL level. But then when you look at where they started this day in the 4th round, they address a need, kind of an unknown going into this draft after letting Kazir White leave the organization, still remains unsigned, going to Akeem Davis Gaither for their off-ball linebacker. They add some help there. They take from the national champion Ohio State Buckeyes, Cody Simon, a guy that can do a lot of the things that Rollis and Gannon want from that position. Simon, along with Denzel Burke, who they take a round later after a trade down with the Dallas Cowboys. I know you got a ton of corners on this roster, but a guy that has potential to be versatile. They come from a defense that gave up the least amount of points in the nation. They're leaning on the top defenses for their prospects as they're mining those guys and bringing them to the next level.
Denzel Burke, 4.48 40 time. He's been a fixture at Ohio State. If you know him, like we all knew the name coming into this draft because he's been around forever. He's been on the team and playing a significant role since 2021 for Ryan Day. 3rd team All Big Ten. Honorable mention the next year in 2023, 1st team All Big Ten. And then this past year, honorable mention again, tied the team with the lead of 2 interceptions, started all 16 games en route to the national championship. Had many people assuming he was going to be a high day 3 pick. He fell to the Cardinals. Good on them. They traded back. They still got their guy, somebody who a lot of people, again, had a 4th round grade on. And, you get differentiating, statistics as it relates to measurements, his numbers. Is he 5'11"? Is he closer to 6 foot, right? Here's what I know, is that Jonathan Gannon is the kingmaker of defensive backs. And I have watched every defensive back that this team has drafted under Jonathan Gannon that's been healthy produce. Garrett Williams producing. Max Melton producing. Taylor Demerson in limited snaps looked like one of the best players on the flipping team last year in the preseason, will produce. If they want to sign off on this kid, they say, hey, you sit and learn this year. Play some special teams, right? Cover kicks. 2026, Jalen Thompson's maybe not here. Come be our 3rd safety. Come have an opportunity to push, if Budda Baker eventually retires in a couple of years. I just keep this pipeline going with supremely gifted athletes that play big-time college football, national champions. Cody Simon, Denzel Burke, love those 2 picks to kick off day 3.
Yeah, you can't really find any true fault in the selections. And leaning into the strength of this draft on the defensive side of the football was clearly the plan, and never those slim opportunities to take an offensive player in the first 5 rounds at least worked for Monty Ossenfort. And he continued to just revamp this defense and add depth pieces, and we'll see how much they can kind of vie for playing time here in this first round, or these as 4th and 5th round picks, and now 6th round picks. It's a different day though for Arizona Cardinals as a football team. Like early on in year 1 of the regime and year 2, there was ample opportunities for guys drafted in day 3 to go take on some jobs, whether it's snaps on the defensive or offensive side of the football, and definitely on teams.
Yeah.
But now those jobs, there's only few up for grabs. So we'll see if these guys with you know, top Power 4 conference teams that are in the college football playoff and winning national championships, if they can take that background and use it to their advantage to earn some playing time for Gannon, Rollis, and Drew Petzing on the offensive side of the football.
Big difference compared to the last 2 days, where I think you drafted with your first 3 picks 3 guys that are going to vie for starting roles this year.
Yeah.
Whereas today it's more about the future of this team, and if you can find, I hate to say diamonds in the rough, but can you find guys that can get through all 4 years of their rookie deal, and God forbid get a second contract, right? Develop. Well, if Denzel Burke becomes nothing more than a rotational corner or a rotational safety, it's still a good pick. Cody's not like you probably have bigger expectations for him as an off-ball linebacker. I think they, talking to Fran Duffy, like you drafted him. He may not develop into this, but you drafted him to be a starter at some point for a defense right now that needs an infusion of youth and athleticism at off-ball linebacker. And then we talked about this offensive lineman that they took out of Texas, Hayden Connor. I mean, Yelda Froholt once upon a time was a 4th-round pick. Evan Brown was undrafted. Like, I think, again, until they show me otherwise, I trust their acumen when it comes to interior offensive linemen. I trust their acumen, period. I think the only kind of misstep so far has been, Jonah Williams, but he's been injured, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think they know how to push the right buttons. They have a type, clearly, and it's not the super athletic guys necessarily, but you have to play a part physically. He is all of 6'6", right? You mentioned, phone booth opportunities. They'll carve out a role for him, whether it's practice squad or special teams. You don't just throw stuff and see what sticks. Your Christian Jones, they like what the Texas Longhorns do up front. Big physical maulers, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is not ACC, run and shoot offenses. This is an offense that very much knew who they were. Protecting Quinn Ewers, going north and south, working off of play action. Like, who's that sound like? It's what the Cardinals want to be. That's who they are offensively.
You got to wonder if you can get more playing time from Jonah Williams in year 2 after signing his free agent deal and being bogged down by injuries, how much that could potentially benefit Isaiah Adams playing next to him at right guard.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we've seen that where there's, a little inconsistencies as far as who's playing tackle, who's playing guard. And that was there was a lot of kind of movement on that side of the line last year. If you can get Jonah Williams to stay healthy, what that can do, and maybe you can even improve as far as protecting Kyler Murray and limiting his sacks. And they kept it already pretty low at 30 last season. So there's enough confidence in that group to where the Cardinals didn't view that there was any upgrades in this draft, especially as they got further and further down the board. And there might have been some guys they eyed, at the top of the draft, and you see, early on, you see Will Campbell go off the board, Mimbu go off the board, Calvin Banks Jr. go off the board, and at 16, and then after that, you got Simmons go, you've got Donovan Jackson you got Gray Zabel go, and it's just pretty much it's pick clean in what's not even a strong offensive line draft.
Yeah,
who's going to come in and truly vie for playing time over Evan Brown, Isaiah Adams, the other veterans, Jonah Williams or Kelvin Beachum? I don't know if there were the prospects, enough of them in this draft in order to make the case for that. So they went with the defensive side of the football and just they were dead set, hell-bent to get this unit up to speed. I mean, they were a great group last year as far as consistent. Week in and week out, you could get that bend, don't break. And sometimes, just due to lack of personnel and talent, they gave up. They had tough games against the Carolina Panthers. But then you had a 3-game stretch where you kept the opposing offense out of the end zone. Now I think Nick Rollis, still in his youthful age as a defensive coordinator, has a real chance to become a future head coach as early as this year, what they've done as far as revamping this defensive side of the football.
Some good quotes here from Teo Mackey of AZ Central from Hayden Connor, presumably on his conference call. I take a lot of passion into my greatest strength, which is my football IQ. I prepare like nobody else. I'm extremely versatile, and I'll take whatever opportunity arises. I know I'm good enough to fight for a starting job, but if they need me to be the 6th, 7th guy, then I can do that. I'm humble enough to fit wherever. So again, has a full kind of understanding of what is expected of him coming into this locker room, which, I mean, like, you're going in an interior offensive line with some staples of this team. Yelda Froholt, wouldn't be surprised. eventual team captain, Paris Johnson Jr., Evan
Mhm.
Brown, Isaiah Adams, and of course the aforementioned Jonah Williams and Kelvin Beachum. Kelvin Beachum, by the way, 7th-round pick. Lyle Sedline, one of the most famous Cardinals of recent memory, that was like a notable stalwart before Yelda Frodo, undrafted out of Texas. So Cardinals have had some success targeting Texas offensive linemen in the past, but I just, you see the humility in this class. You see the want right, where
Mhm.
Will Johnson yesterday talking about chip on his shoulder, upset where he fell. I mean, nothing's gifted with this team and with these players. And I would expect this is going to be both, I think, the most intense competitive training camp we've seen from the Arizona Cardinals in years, half decades maybe, given all the competition up and down the roster.
And we'll see if they add, maybe a joint practice. They always like to do that. And it's Camp Country Club. Those days are in the past.
Yeah.
They're no longer here. And also taking flyers on guys from small schools are gone as they leaned into, look, Ole Miss, Michigan, you got Oregon, and then Ohio State twice, and now Texas. I mean, could you talk about, more bigger, higher profile, college football programs? You'd be hard pressed to find bigger ones than that outside of like Bama and those other schools. So they're looking at guys that are physical, athletic freaks, and they're adding them to this roster that, they've done a lot of the heavy lifting going into this draft. The 12 picks last year, and then the 9 picks previous to that, plus the undrafted free agents. Monty Austinfort really trying to put the finishing touches on that, along with being aggressive in free agency for the first time, really. Going out and getting Josh Sweat for the biggest contract he's signed off on, 76 or 74 or $76.4 million. And then you got, Clay's coming back, Dalvin Tomlinson. Like this defense has been revamped and in a position to really be a strength for this team and create opportunities for the offensive side of the football.